Pokemon Adventures Black and White is my favourite arc of the Pokemon manga, filled with great characters, moments, and battles. But I'd be lying if I said this all stemmed from the manga, as the entirety of Generation 5 is up there as one of my favourites in the Pokemon franchise, with its great characters, story, and of course, its countless amazing Pokemon designs. So when I was reading this arc and I saw one of the main characters, Black, have a team that consisted of Emboar, Galvantula, Braviary, Musharna, and Caracosta, along with the legendary Pokemon Reshiram acting as the 6th final member when times got tough, I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. A good variety of Pokemon that all have a great personality as well as work perfectly for Black's team. But then we go to the other hand, where you have White, the other main character, whose team is, well, let's just say I think it could be better. Which brings us to the topic of today's video, quote unquote, fixing White's team. Of course, I have to give a disclaimer. This video is entirely my opinion, so you may not agree with all of my picks, but still I hope you enjoy. First of all, I want to talk about White as a character, so we can decide what Pokemon fit her well. White is a trainer who focuses on Pokemon performing and acting, as opposed to the typical Pokemon battling that Black does. White doesn't discriminate between Pokemon or have any preferences, instead choosing Pokemon with strong personalities like Gigi the Tepig or Barbara the Vullaby. And although not a trainer who focuses on battling, White can still battle, as she learned how to battle on the battle subway, meaning she can train up her Pokemon, protect herself, and hold her own. Now, why am I changing White's team in the first place? After all, she already has a full team of 6 Pokemon by her side. Well, that's for many reasons, one of which being, I think her team needed more time with the encounter and catches, so we could bond together better with her team. Otherwise, they're kinda like filler Pokemon to fill the space. I also think her team picks could have been a little better in my opinion. Generation 5 has a lot of Pokemon to pick from, but I'm gonna try not to overlap her Pokemon with any of the other trainers' Pokemon. For the members I'll be adding, I'm gonna try give them a small bit of story and personality so you can get the idea of what I'm talking about with this team. As for when this team would take place, I'm gonna say specifically Black and White 2, as that would mean it's been 2 years since the original Black and White and would give her time to train up her Pokemon and evolve them if she wanted to. So now let's begin with her first team member. The first of White's 6 Pokemon is Amanda the Superior. Just like every Dex holder, White needs to have a star Pokemon on her team, and the Superior White got from N was already a great addition. Being the strong silent type Pokemon, you can be a bit edgy at times, although it still has a close bond with its trainer. I just wish we got to see this bond a little bit more. For White's second Pokemon, I'm gonna say Swordsbuck. For Swordsbuck, this Pokemon would be the same Dealing White caught with the help of Black. I've chosen to keep it the same because I find the moment pretty cute and it was her first official capture, so changing it would feel kind of wrong. The change I'd be making to it, however, is having it evolve. As I said, White may not be a battler, but her Pokemon managed to get pretty strong, with her Dealing reaching level 33, in other words being 1 level away from evolving, and that was back in the original Black and White arc, so 2 years after, I believe she would have gained enough experience to evolve into a Swordsbuck. Also, another reason why having Swordsbuck would be good is because she'd be able to ride on it around the Unova region. Having Pokemon for transportation is very helpful, and one of the main benefits of evolving your Pokemon, as we see many other trainers use their evolved Pokemon for getting around. For White's third Pokemon, we have another Pokemon that she originally had, being Vullaby, who will now be evolved into Mandibuzz. When White first found this Pokemon, she saw it attacking Meloetta. Bianca, who was with her at the time, thought of the Pokemon as a bad Pokemon, but White decided to catch it, seeing as its personality would work perfectly for being a villain in a movie, which aligns with what I said earlier. Now the change for this Pokemon comes with its evolution. I know deep down this doesn't really make any sense, as Vullaby is already White's strongest Pokemon at level 42, but Vullaby evolves at level 54, meaning this would make White's Vullaby higher level than some of Black's Pokemon, which is crazy to think about. But still, ignoring the logistics, it would be so cool for White to fly around on a Pokemon that isn't just a fat egg with wings. Plus, it would make her a reliable ally on White's team, her second in command in a way. Finally, we have a new Pokemon for White's team, being Emolga the Eli-Squirrel Pokemon. On White's original team, she had a Stunfisk. On one hand, it was nice seeing an overshadowed Pokemon like Stunfisk get some time to shine, but on the other hand, the Pokemon barely got any time to shine to begin with. Plus, Silent in the anime already has Stunfisk, so it can get a spotlight from there. Now, I believe Emolga would be a great addition to White's team. Not only is it cute, which would be great for acting, it also gives White a Pikachu clone, which would then continue the trend that was happening in every region, as Gold had a Pichu, Ruby and Sapphire had Plusle and Minun, and Platinum had Pachirisu. White could have caught this Pokemon sometime during her Battle Subway training, where she finds it in trouble with some bird Pokemon trying to take its berries, something that aligns with its Pokedex entries. So White would help it out and offer to befriend it, realizing that it could play the damsel in distress role in Pokémon musicals, all due to its cute appearance. This Pokémon wouldn't see much usage in battles, but that's okay, as after all, White isn't a battler. Now for White's 5th member, we have Cubchoo, who will be replacing Duosion on White's team. White having a Duosion was a weird choice in my opinion, as she had a Solosis that managed to evolve, but other than that, it was just there. As I said before, just a Pokemon to fill out the spaces. So for Cubchoo, I wanted to give one to White for the simple reason that in her past, she saw a Cubchoo who wanted to join in on a human musical, which is exactly what ignited her passion for Pokemon performing in the first place. So it would be really nice for her to get one herself. And also, to make it really special, let's say this Cubchoo would be a shiny one. For some reason, Dex holders never get shiny Pokemon, so White would be the first here. As for its story, I decided to go with the stereotypical, brilliant performer, but struggling with stage fright story, with White having to help the Pokemon come out of its shell and eventually get it to join her team. I don't think this Pokemon would be fully evolved, not because of levels or anything, but just because I don't see her having a Beartic. And after all, not all Pokemon want to evolve. Okay, time for the last pick. I really wanted to give White either a legendary Pokemon or a mythical, but there really wasn't anything I could give her. Meloetta would have been perfect as he had already met the Pokemon before, but that Pokemon shared more of a bond with Bianca than White. As for the rest, they either didn't fit or belonged to another trainer. So my next thought of action was to give her a Pokemon that would receive the form in the future. For example, a Gigantamax form, Mega Evolution, or even an exclusive Z move, just to give White a reason to return in a future arc. But the only Unovan Pokemon to get something special was Ordino and Garbodor. For Ordino, I think she would work better for someone else in Unova, and for Garbodor, yeah, no, that's just not happening. And the last requirement, I wanted to keep the Pokemon Unovan only, as that was one of the main takeaways of the Black and White games. So I've decided White's final Pokemon would be Maractus. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. This is such a boring pick, or I don't even remember Maractus. And that's what makes it a perfect Pokemon for White. This Maractus will have dreams of musical stardom, to be famous and well-known Pokemon as an actor. But it would always get ignored, until one day it sees the advertisement for the musical that White was putting on in Nimbasa City. And so it makes its way all the way from the desert resort to join White, who accepts it with open arms. But not literally of course, as that would hurt. But yeah, if there's ever an underrated Pokemon to get the spotlight, I think Maractus was definitely one to pick. The Pokemon already has a performing vibe to it, so I don't think I need to explain anymore. Now, some of you may be wondering about how unbalanced this team is. No water types, fire types, heck, 3 of her team is grass type. And my response to that information is yes, you're right. But as I've been saying, White's not primarily a battler, so she doesn't have to worry about type coverage. Instead, what she needs is a team of Pokemon who can reliably work by her side on the BW agency. And I think the group I've listed suits their roles well. If I were to make a change or add a 7th member, I'd probably give her back her Alola Mola, as although you don't really need to surf in Unova, it would give her a surfing Pokemon, plus it's also pretty underrated. It's probably not a perfect team, but making a team out of only Generation 5 Pokemon really isn't easy, especially when you don't want overlapping Pokemon. So what do you think of this team? Do you like it, or do you prefer the original? Or even better, if you have your own suggestions for White's team, make sure you put it in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to check it out. And of course, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe for more Pokemon manga content. And if you want to see me do more of these type of videos, let me know in the comment section down below as well. With all that said and done, I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.